All right, we're live. On this stream, we're going to continue off where we left off last time, where we're going to continue working on implementing the dark mode toggle hook for Windows. I got feedback yesterday from the Emacs maintainers that I did not implement it correctly on Windows. We didn't build on Windows because we don't really have a Windows workstation to build on out here. So we're kind of going in blind, but I did get some pretty good feedback, and we're going to learn a little bit about how Windows implements some of these things. So it'll be actually pretty interesting. It seems a little bit different than how we were doing things on the GNOME GTK side. I do have a few improvements for this stream. I've increased the mic volume about by 50%. Last night I wasn't super careful about the visibility of the screen. I actually have lines on the left and right of the screen to tell me where the screen's visible, so that should be a lot better. And I've also increased the screen scale to 125% on GNOME, so everything will be bigger. I think 125% should be the sweet spot between me being able to still be efficient and being able to be read on a stream, but we could try 150% later if that still doesn't work. We'll give it a shot and see how it goes. And today we're going to play another Undertaken album from my $10 for 66 album deal. And kind of blow through these. This is Reflections of a Renegade by Undertaken and Hozo Kwa. It's linked in the description. Cool. So the feedback I got yesterday is we, if anyone remembers, created this patch. And this patch went ahead and added a dark mode toggle hook that would be called in W32 apply theme and the source W32 FNS functions C file. There's a couple things wrong about how I implement this. If you remember yesterday, I was a little bit confusing about how the naming. Stupid me, but it said right in that documentation we were reading yesterday that the function hook name needs to end in dash functions, not dash hook. So I feel a bit bad I did not catch that before setting that in. It's best to catch these things before you set it in, so that's a little bit embarrassing on my part. Another interesting thing is when you fill out these news files where you have like the latest updates, you need to put symbols in quotes, like single quotes. That's what the email is saying. And last but not least, the place I put it in, that function is wrong for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think it only works on boot. So Windows 32, Win32 will boot, and then it'll just select dark mode light mode based on whatever was selected when it opened up. But that's not right. You want to ensure that happens on toggle like it does with GTK, right? Second, I can't call Lisp on that thread. Many of you know Emacs is single-threaded, meaning we can't just call Lisp whenever we would like. We have to call it at the correct spot on the correct thread. And apparently on Windows, the thread that handles all the GUI stuff is separate, which is good. That's good. But that also means you can't easily call that from Windows. What makes me wonder though how the GTK stuff works is that I think it's all in the same thread, because I called it right where I was calling GObject stuff. But I think maybe I need to know a little bit more about how GObject handles threads. I know it has this sort of almost like this async await model, not quite that, but it does have a model of listeners, right? So a lot of GObject is about setting up objects and then listeners for when objects enter certain states. I'm not sure what the threading model is there. I'm guessing there might be something interesting. We'll probably learn more about GObject once we get to the GNOME side of contributing to open source free software. But for now, we won't worry about it. One interesting piece of feedback I got was they don't call it Win32. I guess I'm a boomer for saying Win32. Actually, it should be called MS-Windows. So I guess that's the formal name in the Emacs codebase. All right, so with that, let's get started. They did tell me some cool stuff like I need to send a WM underscore Emacs message. So I'm going to be able to grep the code base for that. That shouldn't be hard to figure out. So let's get to work. What is the file? W32 fns.c, fns.c. Cool. And over here, let me get into my Emacs PGK build environment using Nixos. Source Emacs, cool. We're all set up there. I sometimes will compile stuff from Emacs, but I do have a weird aversion to using terminals in Emacs. I've tried sometimes. I do have EAT available. I'll jump into that sometimes. In general, I just find terminals just don't work how I'd like in Emacs. I'll usually use a terminal in Emacs if I want to do some copy and pasting, complex copy and pasting operations, but that's not most of the time. Okay, cool. So why don't we look for WM Emacs? Okay, cool. So it looks like there are messages like this. Wonder if any of these messages, so what we're looking at are messages that are sent over to the events, basically, that are sent over to the W32 read socket thread. So apparently it's sent over sockets, which is interesting implementation on Windows. But let's go ahead and see if any of these are hooks. I don't know if it's going to be weird if they're hot hooks. Oh, actually, before that, let's go ahead and I usually just do a git reset head 1 to get all my previous changes back. So if I go here, you'll see everything's back. And instead of modifying the patch file directly, I can just pretend like the patch never happened. And then I can kind of move forward with my work. Okay, cool. Let's see, WM Emacs. Let's see what's going on here. What do these things look like? They carried with them the biological day of the Earth. It's such a weird define. Looks like it's a define, right? W32 name of message. Define M message. Message. I think this is actually not, it's not where the WM Emacs is created. Wow. I can't believe they have this many switch and case statements. Okay. It's kind of gross, actually. All right. Before we get into this, let's go ahead and change the hook to functions. Okay. And they were saying I need to add a quote here, I think. Please quote symbols like this. Oops. And ends with functions, okay. I wonder if that name is weird, right? Emacs dark mode toggle functions. That's fine, I guess. I'll just worry about naming later. Same thing as yesterday. I forgot to turn off my automatic white space cleaner. So let's go back. Then we got to do remove hook, before save hook, white space cleanup. Okay, cool. So now we can do what I did again, and it should be fine. Cool. That white space hook 99% of the time is like the best thing in the world, and then in 1% of the time you're in the Emacs code base or on some weird obscure GNU code base, and it's the worst thing in the world. So I'm kind of torn. I should probably just do a a Emacs local variable. When you enter that folder, it'll execute, not saving the webhook or something like that. But I don't know. I think I'd rather just do it manually every time. Okay. So a lot of times, one really cool thing you can kind of do in Emacs is just select what you field you want, and then instantly do a replace. You can just repeat that replacement multiple times. You could even do a macro to do it, but I mean, we didn't really have that much to do, right? Okay, cool. That dash function being the suffix for abnormal hooks is kind of weird, but I won't question it. It's an old code base, right? This goes back to like the 80s. I wonder how quickly they started porting this over to Emacs over to Windows. It must have been early on, if I had to guess. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do is we are going to find one of these WM underscore messages. We're going to kind of just find out how it's said and how it's used, and we're just going to copy that for what we're doing, and I think that'll kind of work out. I'm just trying to find one that's like ideally a function. Ideally, it's like an abnormal hook or a hook, because I don't know if there's some quirks with how you want to implement that. Okay, let's see. Okay, we will grab the whole code base for this. And it's not just this file. We're looking just for this file right now, Emacs. Okay. Okay, we might have to rgrep. Well, rgrep gives us a nicer screen for looking at it. WM Emacs underscore. Yeah, we want C and H files, and we want the source directory. Okay, cool. So mostly W32 term. That's interesting, right? Okay, it's only really in a few files. Yeah, it's really only in a few files. You would think such an integral part of the system would happen more than 166 times in the code base, but I guess not. Okay. So as I look at this, what I've realized is it's not about the ELIS webhook, although that will be eventually executed. What it is about is creating the fact that the dark mode has been toggled. You know, look at WM Emacs toggle lock key. Maybe this would be a good one to mimic, right? So let me see. Did they just give it codes where they just increment? That's interesting if that is the case, right? Oops. Okay. Let's do an rgrep. Let's do this bad boy. Let's do ch. Let's do source. Okay, cool. Interesting. So look, we just have this thing is defined in like a few spots. Not really defined in a whole lot of places. So it means this shouldn't be too hard to get started here. We'll keep that grep for later. Okay. I think it is increment by 1. Oops. Actually, that's probably not my fault. Okay. WX dark mode toggle. Okay, cool. I have it defined. Sweet. Let's go ahead and take a look back at our rgrep. Okay. Emacs is really messing with my indentation. I don't know what do I do about that. It's funny because it's the Emacs code base, right? Emacs not doing the Emacs code base correctly. We might have to just deal with that later. I don't know why Emacs is doing that. Okay, so Emacs dark mode toggle. Okay, cool. So we have it here defined with an auto increment integer. We have it here, and then what's this about? I think this is just a huge if-else statement, which is crazy. Or switch statement. I wonder if this one is if post thread. That one maybe is not as important. So check this out. Well, we've been following the Emacs toggle lock key, the one that we're mimicking for our dark mode toggle. It hits up a Lisp function, defun. Check, yeah, you know what I mean? That's interesting. We'll come back to that. I don't know how relevant that is to our use case. Let's see. WM Emacs dark mode toggle, or is it a toggle dark mode? No. Okay. I cannot believe that Emacs is not good at indenting the Emacs C code base. Okay, cool. I wonder if anything here does what we were trying to do, which is so the question is, how do you trigger that now? Because we want to replace this with the trigger, right? Well, first of all, okay, put a reminder that's where we want to put stuff here. Okay, cool. So in this case, when it does come in, we know to hit dark mode toggle functions. If this is the right thread. I wonder if there's a way, like I wonder if list objects are ever called in this. Let's see. Let's read this function. This function runs on a separate thread, so this might not be the spot for it. So I think we're actually in the wrong thread. Once again, this is not where we should be per this description. Okay. So we're gonna have to move this to W32 read socket. So let's go ahead and do that. Is that, you think it's here? Or I have to look throughout the code base for it. Okay, it's not here. W32 read socket. I'm gonna have to argrep for this. There we go. I was in W32 term. Okay, cool. See, look at, they have a switch statement here, but it's on the main thread. God, this is really something, isn't it? It's funny because, like, if you were to write this today, even for like a CRUD web dev app, people would throw a fit. But you know, I don't know, C can be a little unwieldy, but this seems like a little bit extreme even by C standards. Well, oh look, they're creating a Lisp object like we are. So I think this should all work out. Oh my God, don't want to do the switch statement. They have if defs. So I gotta make sure I'm in the right if def. This is a real piece of work. I'm gonna just presume that this thing, okay, so I think this main part is not if def, so I can, oh God, it's so difficult to read. Yeah, okay. Alrighty, let's see. So we have this. I don't think this is, where did we end up putting this? Actually, no. We are a little bit behind in some of our changes. Okay, cool. You know, does anyone know off the top of their head if C statement case switches can, what the brackets are allowed to be there? Actually, not like a C expert, or don't use it enough to remember that. Can C switch statements have brackets? Okay, they can, but it's not traditionally required. That's interesting. Kind of, you can notice that it's kind of inconsistent with how they're using it. Okay, cool. I wonder if I could cross-compile a W32 exe from Emacs. Probably not. I actually think we're in a good spot. Let's take a look. Okay, let's unstage everything because I want to restage everything again manually. It's one way to just kind of make sure that you're happy with your changes. Okay. Emacs dark mode toggle functions called when dark mode is toggled. When dark mode is toggled on PGDK or Win32 builds, Emacs toggle functions is toggled. Okay, sounds good. Abnormal hook run when the system dark mode setting changes. This hook is called when the system wide dark mode preference changes. Okay, looks good. This is the one we did yesterday. They didn't have a problem with. Okay, hold on. What was I? Okay. We need a place to trigger the event now. That's why I put this here. So one of the feedback we got was that this only occurred on boot, but I also don't see where W32 dark mode is set elsewhere. So let's take a look. Interesting. The hook will always be, okay, what they're saying is the hook will always be called at startup. I wonder if that's true of the GTK hook, actually. Actually, yeah, let's see. If it's consistent on GTK, that's not maybe it's not the end of the world. But we may want to not call it toggle. We may want to just call it set if it's always going to happen. Okay, let's finish up this last part where we have to execute the event or like call the event, and then we'll figure everything out from there. Okay. So see what it does is it's a post thread message. It's interesting. Let's look at what these post thread messages look like. Post thread message. Presumably, I can copy this. It's not clear a post thread message is defined. It's only a Windows thing, so let me see. Windows post thread message. Oh, this is a thing. So uint, that's the integer that we ascribed ID. It's the ID of the thread. Okay, let's look at what wparam additional message specific information. Oh, that message specific information could be, it's just an integer, right? So I can, okay, that's perfect actually. That is perfect actually, because I can just, it's interesting you can only give 2 integers though. And what's the difference between wparam and lparam? Okay, we're gonna ask Claude. Wait, let me see if I can get more information before I go to LLM. Okay. Windows post thread message, please explain what each arg does. Okay, so wparam will just be good for flags. Okay, we'll just toss an integer there representing dark mode. I think that should be fine. Okay. Okay. Let me double check that wparam would be an integer and see if I'm understanding this correctly. Sometimes it freezes up. It's an unsigned integer. Okay, so okay. cool. So I created a wparam dark mode p. I make it 1, which it's going to be unsigned integer in 64 based on the operating system according to Claude. So I think that should be enough of a message, and then we can just put 0 for this. I think that should be fine. Okay. I think we need to figure out how to make sure we're passing the correct value to the message. Let's see how these messages get the value. Okay, cool. They use wparam here. Looks like it's message wparam. Okay, cool. I think I successfully passed that in. Let's take a look at how we're looking right now. Cool, we defined the integer here. In the case of WMS toggle dark mode, we hit the dark mode toggle functions, and then from the param, we can figure out if it's true or falsy, truthy, falsy. Here we go ahead and set dark mode P based on dark mode here, either 1 or 0. Depends on if it's Win32 or Win64, what kind of integer that is, but Windows should handle that under the param hood, so I don't think it matters too much to me. And then, oh, I see. Is that what happened here? Sloppy, but it works. Oh, I didn't do it correctly. One cool thing with Emacs is it'll just respect whatever indentation is on the line above. So I can just go ahead and do this real quick. It's not a big deal. Awesome. Looks like there's still... Interesting. I didn't realize I did this. Cool. We're having a cleaner commit log now. Cool, we have dark mode toggle functions when dark mode is toggled. Dark mode hook run when the system dark mode setting changes. Okay. So it's it's a good question if this matters on boot. So let's figure out if it matters on boot for GTK. That way we'll also sanity check if this thing can compile. And afterwards, we might need to rename this to less be about toggle and more about setting. So it'll say, hey, the dark mode was set. Although the problem there is it implies the affirmative, right? Whereas it's a variable. It could be true or false. So we might need to change the name to theming, but theming is complicated because for the most part, these are not themes as we would traditionally think about it. These are just dark and light mode. And I know those are themes in like theoretical sense, but I don't think they're themes like a real world sense. Okay, let's compile this and let's go and create an init file with a hook. Then we're gonna boot it and we're gonna see if on boot, if GTK actually executes. And if that case, we may need to just renaming things. Okay, cool. Make J16 because I got tons of cores. Let me see. Emacs select custom init file. Okay, it's Emacs-Q-load. All right. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do source test.el. Then we're gonna add hook, dark mode, toggle hook. And then we're gonna do a lambda. And that lambda will mode P. And then it'll be message, symbol, name, dark mode, P. Am I doing that correct? Okay, cool. Symbol name. So add hook, dark mode, toggle hook, lambda, dark mode P, message, symbol name, dark mode P. Actually, let's concat this. Concat dark mode P. Okay, I think that's good. Do you notice it didn't start in dark mode? Should have started in dark mode. All right. Let's see if I toggle this. I already broke dark mode on this thing. It's not good. Oh, I didn't actually start the right thing. I started the wrong Emacs. Okay, hold on. Okay, cool. That works. Then let's do -Emacs load equals test.el. Oh, there's no test.el? What the heck did I just make? Okay, well, we put it in the wrong directory. It's a warning about missing Lexel binding. That doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. Let's see. Did I get a message? I did not get a message. Let me toggle. Okay. Did not get a message. Oh, it's not dark mode toggle hook, right? It's dark mode toggle functions. All right, add hook, dark mode toggle functions, lambda, dark mode P. Okay, cool. Let's try this again. I really don't know how Emacs without my config does works. Okay. I crashed it. That's not good. Let's try again. I have to run this in GDB, which I don't do very often, to be honest. Okay. We've successfully crashed it a couple times. It's interesting, on the GTK side, I feel we didn't do anything except change the name, right? So it's kind of weird that it would be buggering out now. Dark mode toggle functions, dark mode toggle functions. Looks fine, right? And all this stuff's in Win32, so it really shouldn't have changed anything. But if I don't do this, if I just do this, it's fine, right? Okay. So what is so crazy about this? Oops. Let me know. Let's do. Okay, so I eval the buffer, and I want to see what happens now. Okay. This wasn't the case with our previous patch. This was not the case with our previous patch. Let's take a look at that patch real quick, because I don't think this makes sense. Patch. Yeah, something's up. I think it's something's up here. I think we just defined something incorrectly. So it worked perfectly yesterday. And all we did on the GTK site is change the name. Let's make sure we're running the latest build for sanity's sake. Okay. So for sanity's sake, we're gonna Let's just change it back to hook to see if there's something magical about that. Okay. All right, we're gonna recompile, and we're gonna see if that makes a difference. Okay. And test.el. Well, actually, first of all, let's just see what happens if we do this. Okay. It's interesting that all that mattered was the message. Okay. Well, the hook isn't set anyway, right? So. Okay. It's not the name, so that's interesting at least. Why was it working yesterday? Why was it working yesterday? So we changed the name. So everything's basically the same, yet now this just isn't working correctly. Huh. So we know it's f-bound too because it goes f-bound p hook. There's a list of objects of args2. The first argument is the hook. The second argument is dark mode p. And then we do f-run hook with args. Nothing looks wrong about this. For sanity's sake, maybe we'll commit this. Actually, no. Let's stash it, and then we're gonna try the other one to see if the other one still works. So git stash. Let me see. I'm going to apply a patch off the top of my head. See, git apply patch. I'm so used to the GitHub workflow like everyone else. Just git apply. Okay, cool. Git apply 001. Okay. Let's see how that looks. They're all unstaged. Okay, cool. That's perfect. Okay, the patch from yesterday crashes too, so it looks like the stuff I sent yesterday was no good either, which I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse, but that is the case. So we're gonna have to make do. Let's do. Okay, cool. Then we're gonna apply this patch. Okay, let's try to apply this patch. Okay, cool. You just have to hit A and Mega to apply the patch or the stash. Okay, I don't know how any of this worked yesterday. I'm wondering if it must be my eLisp code. That must be different, right? Although, you know, bad eLisp should never be crashing the whole thing, so. Let's take a look at the eLisp code, because I think it must be breaking in an unusual way. But yeah, I don't think any of this code I wrote is controversial, so. Wonder if the lexical binding cookie is an issue. Probably not. Add hook, dark mode, toggle hook, lambda. Oh, well, one thing is I'm trying to concatenate the dark mode P, which is probably not going to work out for me. And then I'm also okay, I know what's going on. What's going on is bad Lisp. I'm surprised I could crash using that though. Okay, cool. So we concat dark mode P, and let's do functions. Cool. So we'll concat dark mode P, the string, to the symbol name of dark mode P, which is just converting it from whatever it is over into something human readable. Out of curiosity, okay, it's not a symbol, right? Symbol name. Okay, so it converts truth and nil, which is the two things that we would be sending it over. Okay, cool. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so this does work, but it only works on toggle. We need to figure out now if we want this to work on boot or not. I think most people would want to know on boot, but in that case, is it just a variable you check? I think it would make sense to put it on boot. Let's look at my previous patch. Set initial dark mode might be the... No. Yes, no. Yeah, it's kind of. I do think it should be triggered on boot, but I'm trying to think how many Emacs hooks are triggered on boot. Let's look that up. What are some Emacs hooks that are executed on boot? I'm trying to think what the pattern might be there. Term setup's an interesting one. Are there any that are not boot specific but occur on boot anyway?
No up or down, no day or night. Only the slow creeping of the harsh sunlight through the windows as the spacecraft rotates to keep from getting too hot on one side, too cold on the other. They carried with them the biological day of the Earth. 3 meals, a snack or two, 8 hours of sleep.
What would be a good name for something? What should this be? Theme set, OS theme set, desktop theme set. Yeah, we might change this to something like desktop theme set. But it's a Boolean of just dark mode. Maybe dark mode, desktop. We want to word this like for toggle, but would also include the initial boot. Dark. That needs to encompass both a toggle and a set. Dark mode set functions. Let's look up synonym for set or synonym for toggle. None of those really work. Okay. I'll ask Claude, what would be a good name for a hook that is executed every time Linux or Windows Emacs boots and discovers if dark mode is enabled or not, and is also executed whenever dark mode is toggled. Let's see what Claude thinks. System theme. Maybe system theme is the closest thing, but remember, it's only for, just don't think dark and lighter system themes, right? I wouldn't be surprised in the future if all these operating systems have themes of dark and themes of light, right? But, you know, I think like system theme is probably the closest thing. I think we're just going to call a system theme not change hook, but set hook.